Welcome back, and thanks for tuning in to the Made Remarkable podcast hosted by Kellee Wynne. In today's episode, Kellee is talking with Emily Mann, the founder of Ink and Indigo. Emily shares her experience of building a successful business and the intentional marketing strategies that have paid off in the last 2 years. She shares her journey of teaching other artists how to do the same, talks about delegating tasks with Ink and Indigo, which has allowed her to focus on developing courses and resources for artists. Emily and Kellee emphasize the importance of thinking beyond just selling art. As an artist, it's crucial to adopt a strategic and entrepreneurial mindset focused on building and scaling to a successful business while staying true to your creative vision. Check out the show notes and transcripts for more information about Emily, exclusive promotional offers, and any special links mentioned during the episode. Kellee loves connecting with listeners, so don't be shy. Reach out on social media, and together let's build a community that celebrates the remarkable. If you want to be notified every time a new episode hits the airwaves, just hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you for joining us today, and always remember, you are made remarkable, destined to achieve the unimaginable. Now, let's get to the good part. Introducing Kellee Wynne and Emily Mann.
Well, hello. I'm Kellee Wynne, artist, author, mentor, fiercely independent mother of life. I'm the founder of a multiple six-figure creative business, and I love my life, but I've been where you're at. I was slogging away at this art business thing for more than a decade, but once I finally connected with my true calling, unlocked the magic of marketing, and built a system that could scale, well, I realized I could make an impact and make a substantial income. I'm finally running a business that I love, and it makes all the difference in the world. My biggest dream is to help you do the same. Let this podcast be the catalyst to your biggest success. You already have it in you because you are made remarkable. Well, I have Emily back on the podcast today after having spent a year with her in the league and getting to know her way better than I ever thought I would be able to have the opportunity for. So thank you, Emily, for showing up here.
Hi, thank you, Kellee.
We were just in a deep conversation. We finally said, let's hit record because this is the honest view of running your own business, being a mom, being a woman, being exhausted, and yet still having ambition.
Absolutely.
So we are both discussing the fact that our family has had a lot of extra needs in this year, and we're just kind of holding it together.
Tenuously holding it together at times. Absolutely.
At times.
Yes.
So it's public knowledge that my son's had health issues. He's 25, so he's not a child, but it's really what we're looking at is how do you keep juggling work, because we're both business owners. How do you keep juggling work and still be present for your children when you know that there's always something that comes up?
Yeah. I mean, so same for me, two of my children especially have had health challenges of a sort of different order, but especially since the new year, which is was unexpected, but had also been building. And so and sort of perfectly coincided with these big goals and plans that I had and that we had been working towards in the league and that had been planning for. And so I think what's, been really important for me is to realize that everything you're building for doesn't just go away when you have to make a shift, and that people know that especially when these businesses that we are built around us as people, is that people do understand that we are women, business owners, parents, and that I haven't been great at this, but that communicating that you've had to make an adjustment is helpful. And then certainly just giving yourself grace and just knowing that even though it's stressful for you and you're we hold ourselves to super high standards and have very real pressures financially, and we're employing people where we have overhead, we have these are real things. It's no joke that we also can only do so much. I mean, you have to prioritize your own health. You have to prioritize your own rest. And all of this falls apart if you don't function. So you absolutely have to also know that there are just limits. So, I mean, for me, I'm just kind of like had to just laugh about some of it and just be like, okay, I had so many goals, and then like literal days that where I would have like, today I'm gonna send this email, and then I would sit down to write the email or whatever it was. And that would be the call from school to pick up my kid again because he's not feeling well again or whatever
Yeah.
it was. And so just sort of letting these things go and then looking ahead and saying, what are we going to do differently? Because this sort of isn't changing. These factors at home are not going to change in the timeline that I need them to. So like, what are the other things? What are the other tools that I can employ? And sort of what you had been talking a lot and the other people in the league had been talking a lot about is hiring a VA. And I had been very sort of adamant that I couldn't afford it, that it was just one more thing that I can't really manage. I didn't know how to pass things off, and it just felt like too much. And like, I couldn't figure out how to do it, like how to outsource any more of the tasks. So I'm like, how, And I think some of this, like, especially with some of these tasks that are going to never go away, but are so important to the business, like updating my website, sending out newsletters, obviously that is like a non-negotiable, can't happen right now with as busy as the Ink and Indigo side of the business is. And as much as that side of the business needs me, that is something a VA can help with. So a VA is a virtual assistant. So really looking at it, I'm like, I got to make this happen. So that is happening. I'm hiring a virtual assistant. So I guess really leaning on trusting that I can make this work financially for a lot. Like I have to invest in some of these other tools that are going to help this be sustainable long term, because my kids aren't going to need me less anytime soon. And I have to be available for them in ways that mean like I have to have a schedule that is very flexible. So that means I need more help to make sure I'm able to do that.
Well, the flexibility is the key, and one of the reasons why you and I both have our own business, because we don't have to answer to somebody else when inevitably the kids call and want to be picked up from school, whatever the reason. Sometimes they're sick, sometimes they're emotionally overwhelmed. I went through that with my middle child, or actually my youngest child, every single week through middle school. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm supposed to run a business if I'm always on
Yeah.
call. But then you realize that was the reason why I created the business in the first place, is because I want to be available for them. And I can always say, sorry, Charlie, I got something to do. I got to go pick up my son. And I don't have to answer to anyone for that. But it does create some disruption. And you're right, hiring some help for some of the things that need to get done can keep propelling the business forward. And also some of the more like unexpected things that we need, like more household help.
Yep.
Like hiring a house cleaner freed me up so much time to either work on the business or be present for the kids and not have to nag them to do all the cleaning, although they still are responsible for a lot of the chores. But it's like there are just certain things in order to make space to grow. But eventually you just have to come to the realization, like you said, is like I might have to postpone some of my ambitions in order to be present for the challenges I have right now.
Yeah.
And that's what you and I were talking a lot about before we hit record. Honestly, what we were really talking about is that we are going to design a retreat for all of us ambitious women business owners. And the retreat is we're going to a hotel and we're not even going to talk to each other. We're going to stay in our room and order room service and text each other. This is a recovery retreat.
Yeah, exactly. Weighted blankets in every room.
Weighted blankets, yes.
Another thing that I've really been like has really changed over the last year is I feel like I have gotten so much better at delegating to the people who are already here and helping, and not just me delegating, but like really looking at what everybody's strengths are and them just stepping into what they're really good at, and has freed up. Like I was doing so many dumb tasks around here, ordering things, managing things that I didn't need to manage or that aren't even really my strengths. And like seeing everyone else within Ink and Indigo able to do these things that I had been doing and do them better than me is awesome. Like it's so great. It's so fun. And that's very freeing. And I think that is going to be how this business keeps growing and how I'm able to keep focusing on the other aspects that I want to develop, which is the course, which is the other resources for artists, are things I'm still really excited about. And like, I'm like, every time I have talked to other artists about it, you know, launching this toolkit, for instance, like getting that out to artists has been so satisfying. Getting the feedback from that has been really satisfying, because it was like all this stuff that we had been working on for a year and workshopping for a year. That was like the first time I'd been able to sort of get it out to people who hadn't already known me or like, you know, interface with me in some way. And, you know,
So let's be clear what it is. What sparked this? You were on the podcast about a year ago-ish, right, and you started talking about the background of your business, which you've been working with hospitality, interior designs, hotels, yep, cruise ships, hospitals, restaurants, all kinds of really amazing projects. And if anyone wants to go back and listen to that, we'll link that in the show notes. But after that, you had a lot of inquiries like, okay, please tell me more about what you do. How can you help me? I'd love to get into this industry.
Yeah. So hearing from other artists who are like, I also would like to have my work in these spaces. How do you do that?
Yeah. Right. And so at that point, it was like, okay, this is a no-brainer to put together a really comprehensive coaching program to help guide established artists. We want to make that very clear. People who know their voice, have a clear direction. They're an expert in the art that they make. It doesn't matter whether they've ever sold anything, but they have a clear point of view, how to start building those relationships in the hospitality industry and build up a portfolio and be able to work with big projects, and how to even approach an interior designer to get the work purchased. And it's like, the real understanding is how long it actually takes to put something like this together, formulate it, and getting it out into the world is sometimes so much longer than people realize, especially considering we have our regular work and our regular day-to-day being moms, which is really honestly something that's kind of slowed you down, because I think you wanted to have this program ready already.
Oh, I mean, and truly it's like especially frustrating when it's all already like in your brain, and even a lot of the work is already done, like content is already framed out and everything. I mean, truly I could have launched the beta in the fall, like as far as like the readiness goes from my end, but the real life where I'm pulled has been different. So the idea is with this beta course is that we're going to launch it live and run it for probably 7 to 8 weeks. And it would be twice a week live. One part will be going over sort of like the module of that week. And then one part will be like a Q&A, able to ask questions about that content. And that way I'm going to get a real good feel for like, is this like too much of a fire hose of information? Because it's a ton of info. It's everything I know from being an art consultant for almost 10 years and then working as an artist within this field for more than a decade. So it's something I really want to do right. And I really want to be able to answer people's questions. And I really want to be able to have it be very interactive. And I don't want to shortchange people at all. I feel very strongly about wanting to give it my all. So I want it to be at a time, you know, when I'm not dealing with crisis in my household. Yeah.
The question is, will there ever be a time?
Yes. Well, you know, I think these aren't like, you know, it's like 1 hour twice a week, essentially. So I think now that I have a better idea of what's going on in my household, and we're hiring, in addition to hiring a VA, which I'm so excited about, she starts in June. We're also hiring on more help on the studio side, which is like a really big deal. So that's awesome. So she starts on Friday. That's going to be huge too.
Right. So
Yeah,
So in order to grow the $1 million business, let's just be honest, you need $1 million helpers.
exactly. So I think what that's gonna mean is after we kind of see how this levels out, that will mean that, like, I guess just to backtrack a little bit. So everything happening with that also coincided with all these seeds I had planted with my very intentional marketing directly to consultants, nurturing the clients we had. We have been so busy, so very busy
So
since,
let's do a little like broader view.
yes,
Remember
sorry,
last year we
skipping
talked about
around.
how your entire business has grown. You moved into a larger
Yes,
studio space. And when we talk studios, it's like people think warehouse space. Like
yes,
it's really large. You
very large.
actually have a production team that helps you build some of the artworks and these
Yes,
big, huge pieces, the installation pieces.
yes,
So you've developed the artwork, but kind of like Andy Warhol's studio, once the idea and concept is developed, you have people who are helping you with the pieces of
yeah,
building the projects,
yeah. I mean,
and that's really amazing.
my hands
Coordinating
are kind
with
of still
them.
in everything, but like Robin and Sam are helping, like we're working as a team on most of the pieces and a lot of these things are made of a million elements. So like, I don't need to be the one physically making all the little elements on a lot of things. But yeah, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's like it's exciting really to think about how we as artists think very small about I make a painting, I sell a painting, rather than understanding that if you want to create a business that's beyond just making a few dollars selling artwork on Instagram or your website, right? Or in a gallery where you're just, honestly, I went that route and I didn't make a lot of money. You really harnessed a whole different point of view, which is a production workshop where you're taking your creativity and just supersizing it,
Yes.
you know?
And part of what I'm teaching in the course is that you don't have to do it anywhere near the scale that I'm doing it to have it be like a very meaningful part of your income as an artist.
Right.
You can still maintain the other ways that you work and work with consultants and still have it be a big part of your income as an artist. So yeah, so we moved into this new gallery space and we had been really intentional. We've always been really intentional, but we had really thought about the ways that we market and really over the last, I would say 2 years, been extra intentional about the ways that we market to our consultant friends and reaching out to new clients. And it all started to pay off very meaningfully.
The dominoes fell.
So in addition to like just everything that was happening with like building this course, things at home, all the things, we have been so tremendously busy. So it's just all kind of happened at once. So it's been an awesome problem to have and very exciting. It's been crucial to get more help. And yeah.
So let's talk about some of the things that you're just working towards being able to share with other artists and how we built this out through what you learned in the league. So
Yeah.
you have Ink and Indigo, an established studio that's been selling artwork to interior designers and hospitality industry. I know from discussions we've had, it's relationships you've built, it's the way you've designed your website, even the way that you use Pinterest very thoughtfully. I love all the different ways in which you've built up this Ink and Indigo part of your business and that you have support and help people who are always helping manage the contracts, manage the artwork,
Yep.
helping with the
Exactly.
installations and all of that. Now we have a new little sprout of a business, which is you helping other artists learn how to do what you've been doing for a couple of decades, really. Like from
Yep.
the art consultant to the artist who's working with them, you really, I mean, to me, you're the only one I know that's done this successfully and been able to bring in contracts that are in the amount of money that I don't think most artists ever see. You're really an expert in this field, but getting to the point of being able to communicate that to the artists and say, hey, now I want to take you on this journey. We worked on that for the last year. And a lot of those was just establishing a routine for you to show up online and talk about it. Which is,
Yeah.
sometimes you
Getting
have
over
time.
that.
Yeah.
That was huge. I mean, truly, just even coming on the podcast for the first time, that was huge, just getting over that. And now, I mean, I would recommend for people who are anxious about that aspect is to just keep doing it and get over it and find a group, an accountability group to show up online in a Zoom format even helps with that because you do just get used to literally seeing yourself and that just helps you get over it. I still hate it, but I do it. And I'm not doing great about Instagram right now, but that's a whole other story. But I will
You'll get back on that horse when you're ready. I mean, life has its ups and downs.
Yeah.
But that's why we build the list, you know?
Exactly. And the list, okay, so I would say from the league perspective, I feel like it was the only way that I really could have learned about this entire ecosystem that is what even is a course? Like, I guess everyone else knew about courses. I didn't even know people were doing courses. I didn't even know that anyone was interested in learning this way. Like, to me, I had no idea. So
how to build the like course and coaching side of your business.
Yes. Yeah. Like I just didn't know people would even be interested in learning that way. So to me, I would have first had to somehow stumble upon that as a thing and then learn on my own that there's 8 billion different platforms to choose from and then somehow figure out which one of those was best. And then, okay, what about which email server? And then, okay, what's segmenting and blah, blah, blah. So having this like container in which to learn about these things and then also other experienced people, these aren't other newbies for the most part. These are other people who've kind of done a bunch of different things, even if it's completely different than what you're doing. But they've already done a bunch of things and have had a lot of relevant experience in building a list, in selling a product or selling a course or whatever, and segmenting, like all these very like technical things, which sound very scary, but once you're doing them, do start to make sense.
Well, we do have some simplified systems and processes that I teach through my remarkable programs. And I think that's something that sets it apart. Like I'm coming at it from a creator's point of view. Like I'm an artist. I understand how artist brains work. I understand how the artist's customer works as well. And so I found these simplified, like the Prism marketing methods so that you really don't have to like spin your wheels anymore. It's like, okay, here.
That's what I was gonna say is like, it's like a huge shortcut, but I don't want to make it sound like a shortcut because it's not easy or quick. And you need to account, like, go ahead and know that you're going to need at least a year and then realistically a couple years to like build things up. And that's not because it's going to take all that time to just learn it from you or within like working with you. It's just like, that's how long it takes to build things, period.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it does when you're trying to establish a business and get it to the multiple
like,
seven figures or whatever. It's like every year builds upon the other year.
Yes.
Instead of
not to say you won't have something to show before then, but just to have,
to get it so that it's a well-oiled machine. But it took me like a dozen years before I figured all of these pieces out. And that's why I don't want anyone else to have to wait that long. That's why I designed Build It Remarkable and the Remarkable League, is because I would much rather shortcut at least your knowledge of what you need to do to get to where you need to go. And from an artist's point of view, because there are plenty of really good programs out there that can teach how to run a business. But my whole goal is to help artists, creatives, makers run their business.
Creative thinkers.
Yeah.
And then from like the sales perspective, I feel like there is so much super conflicting information, confusing information, dead end, weird social media focused information out there about sales. That I think is really defeating and sends people down some really dead end paths. And I think having, like you said, like a very clear way of approaching a sales method that's not weird and gimmicky.
Right.
Because I would have just like run, if you had come at it with some weird, like, you're going to do this, like, I don't know, if it had even approached a pyramid scheme of any sort, I would have like,
But I'm so anti that too. I had to think long and hard before I decided to go down the route of teaching how to run a business. I never want it to feel like those, I mean, I don't want to be too negative, but like that bro energy Lambo
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
thing that people are just like hustle, hustle, hustle. Artists aren't made to hustle.
Right. Well, and I think most people really aren't. And a lot of those things you're hearing, like these success stories that are like not super realistic, you know, or you're not
Right.
hearing a story, or you're hearing someone who's actually coming from a lot of money, or who has a spouse who's actually supporting, you know, like you're not hearing the whole story, which is fine. Like nothing to say that those people are like, don't have a valid point too, but like, it's just not super helpful for most of us when we're building a business. So I think what's helpful from the league is you get this like methodology, which I haven't gotten to like fully put into practice yet. But what's nice is that like I have the material, I have like the coursework, and I know that now, even though I've kind of had to like put a pause on exactly my exact timeline, I know I have this to come back to, and I know it's gonna work. And I know that I also, it's adaptable because I have particularities about the way I like to do things, and just my style is what my style is, and it's all adaptable for that. And I've already seen it for all these other people in the league, literally like you actually, they share their numbers, you know, like
Yeah.
seeing the sales numbers for other people, it makes you want to cry. Like you're seeing people's lives change, you know, like their successes. You're so proud of these people who you've seen working so hard at home, and, you know, from the little Zoom view we get from them. And it's just so exciting, you know, and you've seen their life situation where they might have had a kid be sick, or a kid, you know, like whatever their own challenges. So it just gives you something that you can come back to as you're able to, or when you have a new idea, you can apply the same kind of methodology to again, which
It
is
is,
great.
it is something that honestly, if even if a car mechanic wanted to apply these kinds of concepts, it's simple enough. But I've definitely designed it for the way the artist's mind works, the creative
Yeah.
brain works. And also, we don't like rigid schedules. We're parents, we have kids to take care of. We, you know, the
Installations to go on,
for
like
you,
big
yeah.
projects
We
that
still
come
want to
up
be able
that,
to make art. We don't want to spend our
yep,
entire business only working on the
yeah,
business. Although, confession, that's all I've done this year so far. But that's
yeah,
because I'm launching something new. Well, it's not new, but it's the third year of me teaching and coaching, but it is
right.
new to offer it at this level that I'm going for. But I've purposely designed it like I work this way, and then I know that I can take a couple of months to just dive deep into my artwork. But everything I do is systems that can be just set up to run. Like
Yep.
when I talk about systems, let's just make it clear so that people are like, what are these magic systems? It's a simple marketing method of having some sort of form of social media or content that you are consistently putting out, asking people to get on your email list by providing them something really relevant and juicy, and continuing to nurture them on the newsletter so that they know who you are and they get to know you better and how you can help and serve. Every time it's like, if every piece of content that I'm putting out there is to make someone else's life better, then we keep moving in the right direction. That's why it
Yeah.
doesn't
And
feel so icky and scummy, because we're really doing it from a place of, I'm going to help serve you and make your life better. And in the long run, if I have what you want from me, whether it's an art course, a coaching program, collaboration, a community,
insight into your like behind the scenes stuff,
yeah, just
whatever.
behind the
Yeah.
scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even though, like I said, like newsletters is one of the things that fell away, and that's actually something I really like doing, even though I haven't kept up with like my goals on it. I grew my list by a ton, and that's something I hadn't grown because I literally only used my list previously to communicate with like existing clients, like consulting clients. And that's been something that has now just been steadily growing. And that was something that literally wasn't growing. I just, you know, if someone happened to stumble upon my site, they would maybe sign up, but it was like, I just didn't care about it. I didn't think I needed to care about it because I was only looking at my business through this lens of consultants are gonna buy my work, consultants are my only people. So I'm just using that as an example of when you have the intention and you like put that effort, it really works, you know? And so I'm seeing it working, and then other people are seeing it working. So it's nice to know that when you have that list too, that's there for me to come back to, like, that's not going anywhere, when I'm able to sort of come back.
We are hoping that at some point this year, you will be launching your program.
I will be.
And it'll be a beta version, open large. You've done a test run though, on a smaller scale with individuals to teach them.
Oh yeah.
Last year. So,
and then in a professional group that I'm in, done like sort of to a group, and that was really well received too. So that was fun.
Yeah. So at some point, this program will be available this year. I'm going to continue to nudge you and encourage you. I know life gets in the way sometimes, but it is totally doable because you're doing the method that I've learned now and recommend and have tested and perfected, which is run it live as a beta version before you try to record all these videos and get everything in order, which is a mountain in and of itself.
Yes.
And so at some point this year, but in the meantime, you do have a special PDF that you've created. It's like a jumpstart list to get going in the industry that you're in.
Yes. Right? Yep. And the link, you should be able to download it to the link I sent to you.
Yes, I'll have that in the show notes.
Okay.
At the very least, everyone can connect with you at Ink and Indigo on Instagram.
Yes. And please download that toolkit, because it's a great starter even before you do the beta course with me, because it's sort of like helps you get all your ducks in a row and get your brain around what even this is and whether or not it's something you're even interested in, because maybe for some people it maybe isn't a great fit. And so I think it kind of is a great sort of like insight into what this is and how you can work within it, and a little bit of an insight into who I am and some of like the little tricks. There's plenty of info in there to get you started. And so
a toolkit for working with
art consultants, interior designers, architect firms.
Yes.
Get that art out there for sure.
Get that art out there. My big dream back in the 20 teens was to do that, and I could not figure it out. And now here is Emily helping everybody. I think it's going to be a hugely popular program. So
I hope so.
I'm really excited for you. And in the meantime, it's okay to put it on the back burner for a bit while we manage being women and moms, taking care of family and all that stuff.
No, I feel good about, like, I mean, honestly, just the last 2 weeks have already started, like, things have been leveling out a little bit, and knowing that I have help coming. So I feel like I'll have some actual dates soon. So that's encouraging, because I am really excited about this. I'm like, I want to talk people's faces off about this. I'm like, I have so
when
much.
You're passionate.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, people need this info. There's so many different ways to work that I think artists will be amazed that they hadn't even thought of these projects,
I mean, I'm wondering if I'm ready for a pivot myself. I'm kidding. I'm not yet. I'm going to continue to build their businesses. But behind the scenes, I'll be working with Emily to get some of this art out of my house and into the hands of
absolutely. I'm happy to assist in that way for sure. But yes, and sign up for my newsletter too, because as we release the new dates, well, you will be on the newsletter once you sign up to get the toolkit. And that's where we'll be sending out the new dates and the beta course info. So
for sure. All right.
And I learned how to do all that from Kellee.
Yeah, thank you so much, and I'm so glad.
Thank you. I hope that made sense. I know we rambled there for a minute, but
no, it's great. I love it. That's all. This is supposed to be a casual podcast anyway.
Oh, good. Well, thank you, and thanks for everything.
Thank you.